Welcome, dear student. So this is the next class in continuation with the where we left in the last video, electrophilic substitution. So in the last class I gave you list of reagents and electrophils. Now, so how we can predict the reactions? Suppose we take example that we have a benzene ring. Okay, and suppose I have a reagent CH3Cl in presence of AlCl3. Okay, some heat may be required for this reaction, heating. So now we have to compare this reagent, the combination, with the list that I gave you. Okay, so it looks similar to Rx in presence of AlX3. Okay, AlX3. Okay, so it is similar to that reagent. Okay, and when the reagent was Rx and AlX3, the electrophil was R positive, isn't it? So if you compare this reagent, which one is the alkyl part? Okay, so in CH3Cl, if you split this part, you will see that this CH3 part is the alkyl part, CH3 part. So what will happen in the product? Directly you can write, so this is our product. Okay, the electrophil will directly get attached to the benzene ring. Okay, now, and in this way you can use all other reagents. Like suppose I take another example. Suppose I take HNO3 in presence of concentrated sulfuric acid. This reaction is called nitration. So when we use HNO3, we know that the electrophil is NO2. Okay, NO2. So we will get NO2 over here. This is our product. Okay, so this is how you can use those reagents and electrophils, the list that I gave you. Now this was a simple case of electrophilic substitution. Now I have taught you earlier, but I am repeating it. We know that in the two examples I have taken benzene ring, but sometimes we can already have a group present here. Okay, before the reaction, it may be we tried substituting electrophil to the benzene ring, but the benzene ring may have a substitution before we proceed to the reaction. Now this A, when benzene ring was, when there was nothing attached to benzene ring, we had no issues. We directly attached the electrophil anywhere we want. But now, since one position is occupied by a group, A is arbitrary. Okay, we will discuss about this group, the nature of this group. This is not any compound. This is just a imaginative thing, A. So now, since one position is already occupied by an atom or by a molecule, where will electrophil go? The upcoming electrophil. Now, to which carbon the electrophil will go? Okay. Now, to answer this question, we have to understand two things. Okay. One is called ortho-para directivity and the other is meta-directivity. Okay, that means this group attached to the benzene ring can have two types of nature. One is ortho-para directive. It can be ortho-para directive or it can be meta-directive. So now we will try to see which groups are orthoparadirective and which groups are metadirective. So generally your alkyl group, hydroxyl group, halogens, they are all orthoparadirective. Carboxylic group, aldehyde, they are all nitro, they are all metadirective. Okay, but since we are discussing haloalkanes, that means halogen derivatives of organic molecule, so we will focus ourselves on this type of compound only. So we see that halogen, when halogen is present in the benzene ring, we see that halogens are orthoparadirective. Okay, so first, one thing that we know about halogen substitution is that it is orthoparadirective. And what does that mean? We will see what does that mean. So first thing, we know that halogen is orthoparadirective. We will use this concept. Okay, I will tell you in detail what does that mean. Now the second thing about any group is, one is its directivity and one thing is its activity. There are some groups which are activating, and there are few groups which are deactivating. Okay, now what this activating and deactivating means? Okay, how some group can activate and how some groups can deactivate. So actually there are few groups which can do what? Which can increase the ability of this benzene ring towards electrophilic substitution. Okay, that means suppose, you know, I can take suppose we are playing cricket. Okay, and suppose you are wicket keeper. Okay, what is your so what is your job? You have to, when bowler bowls, if batsman misses or if he edges, you will have to catch it. Okay, now if the bowler is too fast and if he is using a Costco ball or a ball which is lighter, you know, you can use your bare hands to catch it. But suppose if the bowler is using a leather ball, okay, will you be able to keep behind the wickets without any gloves? It is difficult. So to activate your skills or to activate your ability to catch the leather ball, what you will do? You will use gloves, and not only gloves, inside the gloves you will wear innards. Okay, so it will increase your ability to catch the ball. Okay, it's similar to that. It's similar kind of situation here. Benzene alone has an ability to attract the electrophil, but there are some groups which does what? When attached to benzene, they increase its ability towards electrophilic substitution. Those groups are called activating groups. And there are few groups which does what? They decrease the ability of benzene towards electrophilic substitution. They are called deactivating group. In general, the groups which are orthoparadirective are generally activating. That means any group which is orthoparadirective is generally activating in nature, and those who are metadirective are generally deactivating in nature. But we have an exception in halogen. Halogen is such a substituent that it is orthoparadirective, but it is deactivating. Though it is orthoparadirective, like hydroxide is orthoparadirective and activating. Okay, and same is for alkyl, same goes for the, you know, alkoxy. All these groups are orthoparadirective as well as activating. But halogen, though it is orthoparadirective, but it is deactivating. Now why halogen is orthoparadirective but deactivating? So I will write down the reason in short. You can, you know, you can prepare your notes, or you can answer the questions by constructing a sentence using the reason. I will just write down the reason. So there are two things. First thing is that halogen is deactivating, and why it is deactivating? Due to minus I effect. We know that halogen is highly electronegative and it can remove electron, it can pull the electron. So what this halogen will do, this will, the electrophilic substitution is happening due to the high density of electron in the ring. What halogen will do, it will pull the electron out. Okay, it will try to pull electron outwards. So when it pulls the electron from the ring, the electron density around the ring reduces, hence it reduces the ability of the overall molecule towards electrophilic substitution. So it is deactivating in nature. And why deactivating? Because of negative I effect. But why then, how it is orthoparadirective? So the directivity is justified by resonance. Okay, that means the deactivating nature of the halogen is because of minus I effect, and orthoparadirective nature is because of the resonance. Okay, so in exams you may be asked that explain why halogens are orthoparadirective but deactivating in nature. Then what you will write? Because of minus I effect of the halogen molecules, they are deactivating, but because of the presence of lone pair on halogen, it can show resonance, and resonance explains its orthoparadirectivity. Okay, so these are the two questions. So for time being, we will not use this concept of deactivation, we will use just its directivity to answer the questions related to reactions. So suppose I have a halobenzene over here, it can be chlorine or bromine, and let us try nitric acid in presence of concentrated sulfuric acid. Okay, so when nitric acid is the reagent, what is the electrophile? NO2 is the reagent. But now comes the orthoparadirectivity part. Since halogen is already present here, what will happen? Nitro group will go to the ortho position with respect to the halogen, ortho position, and we will get another molecule in which nitrate will go to the para position with respect to the already present halogen. That means we will get one ortho substituted product and we will get one para substituted product. And I have told you earlier that they are symmetric, para products are symmetric, so they are major product due to the symmetry. Their stability is higher than ortho isomers. Okay. So high stability means high concentration. There will be major and there will be minor products. Let's try few more examples. Let's try to change the reagent that we have. Suppose I take, this time let us take, suppose I take it like, I take a bit complex molecule this time. Okay, NaLCl3. Okay, it is similar to, now try to compare from the list that I gave you. It looks like RCOX. Okay, and when we have this reagent, this part is the electrophile. Removing X will give you the electrophile part. So here just remove the chlorine and you will get the electrophile part. So what will happen in the product? We will get two isomers. Halogen is common and the two isomers will look like this. So how it will get attached? Like this, because I told you that which carbon gets attached to the ring? The carbon which contains the double bond. So I connected that carbon which is connected to the double bond. Okay, you can arrange it in your own way, but the thing is that it will be the final product. You can write it in another way, in a comfortable way, like this. Okay, it's maybe it's not looking good, so you can write it down like this also. It's the same molecule. Okay, so it's your choice how you write it. The thing is that you should maintain the number of carbon atoms. Okay. Okay, oh sorry, there is a mistake here. Double bonded oxygen is, it is next to this group. Okay. Now it's perfectly fine. Okay, because the carbon to which the double bond is attached, this square ring is in the next carbon. So this carbon, the next carbon, it has a 4-membered ring. Now it's the correct answer. So in this way, by changing reagents from the list that I gave you, you can practice different electrophilic reactions. Okay, you just have to keep in mind the directivity of the already present molecule or group. And in this chapter, you already know that halogen is ortho-para directive. Okay, and that's why I have when I will use hydroxyl here, you will see that when I will use in the next chapter for phenols, when I will use hydroxy here, I will not apply heat, because hydroxyl is activating group. It activates the ring towards the electrophilic substitution. So it is easier to perform electrophilic substitution there. Since halogen is deactivating, that's why I require some heat in order to get the product. Okay, because halogen is deactivating. So actually deactivating and activating, knowing the nature of the substituent, that means whether it's deactivating or activating, you can predict the reaction conditions that we need. If the group is deactivating, you will require a more intense reaction environment to perform that reaction, and if the group is activating, it will be carried out simultaneously or automatically by itself. Now we have came to the last part of our haloalkane and haloalane chapter. Okay, we have discussed all the reaction part, reasoning part, and conceptual part of this chapter. The last part is a bit theoretical. I will not go into the detail of this part. Basically, this part deals with few important polyhaloalkane compounds. Okay, like freons, we call furans. Okay, they are like freon 12 is chlorofluorocarbon. Okay, this is chlorofluorocarbon, CCl2, CF2. So freon compounds are chlorofluorocarbons. Actually, they can have different molecular formulas, and they are used as aerosols and in refrigeration. Why? These are gases, and the best thing about them is they are non-corrosive in nature, and they are easily liquefiable gases. They can be easily converted to liquid using comparatively low pressure. So when they liquefies, they cools. So what happens in refrigerator? We have a compressor, and in the compressor what we do, we just compress the gas so it cools down, and then it shows the cooling effect. So in refrigeration we use chlorofluorocarbon, and we know that the emission of chlorofluorocarbon from refrigerators are responsible for global warming or the depletion of ozone layer. It is not environment friendly, though it's non-corrosive in nature. So in this part you will get the compounds like that, like you will get DDT, like furon, you will get DDT, okay, PP, diphenyl, dichloro, tetraethane, okay. So this is DDT. DDT is a very good disinfectant, okay. Earlier DDTs were used to used as mosquito repellent in mass production, okay. So when we were quite small back then, after floods or something, they spread DDT powder and Gamexin powder. So DDT were used to restrict the mosquitoes to reciprocate, or to gather in large volumes. So but DDT is poisonous, okay. It has a negative effect on the environment. So nowadays DDT is not used in large quantity. There are other few examples, like we have a very good example of chloroform, CHCl3. Once there was a time when chloroform was used as local anesthesia, okay, and 900 ppm concentration. ppm, you will get this concentration unit in chapter 2 of the book 1, and you will understand what does ppm means. ppm stands for parts per million. So 900 ppm concentration of chloroform is if is used or inhale, if we inhale this concentration of chloroform, it can create symptoms like fatigue, okay, vomiting, or even the patient or the one who is inhaling this gas may get senseless. So, and it's a poisonous gas actually. Chloroform is a poisonous gas, and it is used as industrial chemical also, okay. Sometimes we use it as industrial chemical. Now there are other derivatives also from the chloroform. We have carbon tetrachloride. You will use carbon tetrachloride also as laboratory reagent in class 12 practical. For chloroform, there is a question or reaction regarding chloroform. When chloroform reacts with oxygen in presence of light, it forms COCl2, okay, carbonyl chloride. This gas is called carbonyl chloride, and this gas is highly poisonous. This is a highly poisonous gas. That's why chloroform gas, okay, chloroform gas is bottled in brown colored bottles, okay. They are bottled in brown colored bottles. Why? And tight, airtight containers. Why? Because if we have transparent bottle, then light will enter through the transparent glass, and if the bottle is not airtight, we will have oxygen, and the chloroform will automatically get converted to carbonyl chloride gas. And carbonyl chloride gas is a very deadly poisonous gas. It's very, very poisonous for human. So we don't in earlier days chloroform was used as local anesthesia for the patients, but nowadays chloroform is not used as it is not safe. Okay, chloroform, the bottles of chloroform may contain carbonyl chloride which can kill people. Okay, so nowadays ethers and other new better organic molecules are used as local anesthesia, and chloroform is no longer used as for this purpose. Okay, so finally, coming to the end of this video lecture, we have discussed almost all the topics in as detailed in as much detail as possible. I tried to clear out all the things, but sometimes you may get some doubt. Okay, you maybe because of the language or other issues, maybe you have not understood any topic. My first suggestion will be for you to go through the videos again and again if you don't understand anything, but if you have any doubts related to any topics, you can connect to me directly and I will answer all your doubts. And for the last part, that means the polyhaloalkane part, that contains different type of examples like furans and methylene chloride or chloroform tetrachloride, you can go through NCERT book, and what you have to learn there, you just have to learn the use of that compound. That means don't read everything, just try to memorize the use of that particular molecule. Structures and other things are not required, and one thing was required in chloroform. I wrote that reaction and I told you, because you may be asked in the exam that why chloroform is bottled in an airtight brown bottle containers. Then you can write the reaction and write down the answer, that to prevent it from converting to carbonyl chloride, we bottled them in brown colored airtight containers. Okay, thank you.